Hi guys, how you guys doing? I'm out on my walk. This is my episode of the Friday JAC, Jimmy against the Friday JAC, Jimmy against Christ. I'm gonna do my best with this. I just want to say some thoughts I have on the subject of the Bible and God and Jesus and all that. Anyway, it occurs to me that the belief that, first of all, one could argue that we're complex beings, therefore we needed a creator. But the first problem with that is that complex things come from nature and from accident also. Snowflakes, for instance, are very complex, but they just form randomly. They form by chance, and they form just by natural chemical processes. The fact that we are complex beings does not prove that God exists. In fact, to say that we don't know where we come from, so God made us, doesn't explain what made God, which just replaces one mystery with another and doesn't even solve the fundamental problem of we don't know. Unless you've seen God, in which case you're not supposed to be able to live, in which case you would know, but you'd be dead. LOL. So there's that. And there's also that the burden of proof in the God issue is on the Christian, and they seem to have reverse, what do you call it? The Christians seem to do reverse discrimination in this regard, because the Christians always seem to me like they always make it seem like the burden is on us to believe in God, because we're the ones at fault because we don't, or don't say we do, and they make it our issue, our fault. But the fact is that the belief in God is a huge statement, a huge assumption, a huge thing to say. And then when it's time when the burden of proof lies on them, the Christians don't give any proof. They just say, well, I know it, I believe it, the Bible says it, that settles it. You're at fault because you don't believe it, so prove to me that God doesn't exist. I'm not the one I, as an atheist / agnostic, am not the one that's making a huge assumption. That if it were any other issue, would require much more proof than the zero proof or little proof that Christians give the existence of their God. It's as if the one subject religion / God gets a hall pass, or for no reason, just because we just assume it should get a pass. Think about what you would think of your friend. If your friend were going to send you to hell forever for something you did wrong against a friend, you would think that friend is evil, but yet God does the same thing and that he's good. Because we don't use our senses when we think about God, we use something else. We don't use our brains, we don't use something else. We use conditioning, we use fear-based paradigms. We use they believe it must be true. I was taught it must be true. My parents believe it. My parents' parents believe it. It's good enough for me. It must be true. None of these make anything true. None of those things in and of themselves would make any belief espoused by such a process true. Truth has to stand on its own, not based on your experience or who taught you what or when in your life or my life. Nothing I went through, as far as the accident of my birth and upbringing, proves anything true. The fact is, they just assume there is, and they don't back it up with logical proof. And therefore, Therefore, it's the Christian that's logically at fault, or logically in error, as opposed to the person with the most to prove, the most making the claim, God, religion. In any other case, we would use our brains and settle this easily. But for some reason, to our willingly or unwillingly, we give God and religion in the Bible a pass, which I do not. It doesn't deserve it, nor should I give it a pass. And in fact, the fact, people don't use their brains on a subject is even more red flag. That there's some. It's almost like there's a harm in believing in God. So much. And I think that problem is that religion has been used to control the minds of men for forever. That's the only purpose of religion, to control us while we're here on earth through fear and dogma. Better do good, you're going to go to hell. Better do this or don't do that, you're going to go to hell. Well, first of all, if God says I go to hell, it's his choice, not mine. I accept it. If God is love, it's the right choice. If I deserve it, I'll willingly go there. If Jesus died as a free gift, it's my right not to take that gift. And I shouldn't be slandered or squandered or pressured if I don't take the gift. If it's a gift, I have the choice of taking it or not. If it really is a free gift, there should be no shame in me saying, no thanks, I'll just take my due. If I go to hell, I go to hell. I meet Mozart and Hendrix and Freddie Mercury. I'd rather meet them than just sit around serving God with floating around doing nothing on streets of gold. Gold doesn't matter to me. I'm not materialistic in this life. I don't think I'll be materialistic in the next. I don't care if I'm on gold streets. I don't care. It would give me no joy to be in God's presence for all eternity. I can think of not one fun thing I can do in heaven that I would be allowed to do that would be fun for me. So there's that. There's no reason I have to want to take the free gift. If this is even true. So even if the worst is true, it's still my ass, not yours, not his, not hers. And it's my right to go to hell if I want. It's my right to deny Christ if I want. And the very fact that I'm given problem from people for thinking that makes me feel like they already don't have my best interest at heart. They want something else. They want me controlled. They want me a part of their group. They want my energy. There's some nefarious thing going on when people don't even let me take my own, consequences or my own, that's the way the cookie crumbles, or my own just desserts. I don't see people in court, or anywhere else or in the streets or whatever, saying, well, if you don't take this loaf of bread, you hungry person, you screw you, they let people make their choice. And if it were just your soul at stake, if it's just my soul, what's it to you? And the fact that it is something to somebody else is suspicious and sounds like there's more than just my soul going on. There's something nefarious, something about religion and me being controlled or brainwashed or whatever. I don't trust a system that doesn't let me make a choice that's up to me. It only affects me. It doesn't willingly accept me making whatever choice I choose. Something else is going on if that's not the case, and it doesn't seem to be the case with. So anyway, I said that little spiel. Now another thing. This week's JAC, Jimmy Against Ice, is I believe that if Jesus existed, there would have been more. He would have made more waves in the world. Why is the record so scant, if not nil, on the existence of Jesus, as far as Roman records, Greek records of secular historians? dude, this guy was actually broke till the day he died. And he did the most amazing things supposedly ever done on this earth, and yet he's still broke. He still wasn't mentioned in secular history. Nobody noticed him enough to write him down, other than people that wrote about him in the Bible, and even that was after he died. The New Testament was written, first of all, Matthew, Luke, and John wrote their books, their Gospels, long after Jesus. Bible writers, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that wrote the Gospels, differ and even contradict their accounts of Jesus. Just read it; it's right there. Some people say this and that about Jesus. Other Gospels say that and this. There's contradictions. There's times where one person said Jesus came from this line, and someone else said he came from that line. Someone said he went here. Somebody else said he went there. They don't back each other up on the details. And also, we have with there's all their books is of nefarious origin. It is not a credible document as far as what happened in actual history. It's a nice story, and it is a good story, but that doesn't make it true, and that doesn't mean we all have to do this or this or this just because a story has been told. In fact, having said that, I think there's a lot of good things about how Jesus lived and how he thought. And I even try to do some of those things. But that's not because I think I'm saved or I'm going to be in heaven or any of that nonsense. It's just because, frankly, he lived and thought a good life in many ways. Not always, but nothing's perfect. I see good in some of the things he thought and did. And I even try to do some of those things. Not as a game plan to get into heaven, forbid, but just as good example on how to live. And I think it's cool. But then again, I get the same thing from a movie with Clint Eastwood. It doesn't make Clint Eastwood God, or doesn't make that story that Clint Eastwood's in true. It's just good food for thought here and there. And that I do accept. And another step I made, despite, just that I've made just and another step I made just today, I actually made a couple steps in this regard, around this topic. I realized that I probably am atheist, because I don't without question believe there's no God, because I just don't believe in God. I don't believe there's a God, but I'm not 100% sure of that. So it's very likely that I'm more of an agnostic. It's very likely that I'm more of an agnostic than an atheist, and that despite myself seems like progress as far as what the Christians would want me to do. I probably admit that rather than a staunch atheist, I'm basically more of an agnostic. I don't believe in God, but I don't believe that I'm so great that I have all the answers and I know there isn't a God, because that itself is a faith, and I don't have that faith. I mean, there could be a God, I don't know. And then along with that is the idea that I just realized, has been true all my life, that I've been protected all my life by some force. I call it the universe. I have a relationship with it. It's not God to me. It's just an energy source. It's just the universe. It's not a morality checking judgmental father. It's just the universe and it's good energy. And I know I've been protected by that all my life. At least I believe it. So I'm not that far from. Mine is just intuition. I have about what I should do, what things like if I'm about to my head's about to hit a branch of a tree or something, or a sign, and I don't see it, but I duck out of the way because I sense it's coming, that kind of thing. When I didn't really see it with my physical eyes. And I have some of that, and I have a thing where I give things energy, and things tend to happen differently when I give things energy or don't give things energy here and there. And I have that. And a lot of it, I see that means I do believe there's something up there, so there's something non-purely physical going on with our lives and in this universe. I'm just not convinced it's the God of the Bible, or that the Bible has anything to do with talking about such a thing, as far as truth goes. Prove me wrong? Well, here I am. But right now, at the most, I'm an agnostic. At the greatest, I'm an atheist. But I might just be an agnostic. Well, it's possible. It just depends on how you word it, or how you define it. But I think so. Anyway, a lot. Okay, so I just thought this is my the Friday JAC for today, and hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys